Daniel Jones, selected by the Giants with the 6th overall pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, only had to wait 2 weeks before getting the starting job against Tampa Bay in Week 3 of the NFL season. While at times struggling with interceptions and fumbles, Jones put up a respectable 3,027 yards, 24 touchdowns, and had 12 interceptions. His mechanics on deep balls were pretty inconsistent in his first season in the NFL, and while he's certainly not afraid to give his receivers a chance downfield, he completed only 30.4% of his deep ball attempts, which ranked him 28th out of all quarterbacks. When throwing on rhythm with clear reads, running play action, or moving out of the pocket, he's shown exceptional arm talent, quickness in his release, and decisiveness. His quarterback rating when running play action jumps up to 112 from his normal dropback rating of 82.9. Perhaps most illustrative of his effectiveness when throwing quickly and decisively is his completion percentage and interception rate when throwing within 2.5 seconds. When under 2.5 seconds, he has a 67% completion rate and 13 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. When holding the ball longer than 2.5 seconds, his completion rate dropped to just 55% and he threw 11 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. As the season progressed, Jones was able to move through progressions more quickly, but would still tend to hold the ball longer than necessary to confirm that receivers were open. His footwork was really clean and he consistently threw from a good base and had a lot of other encouraging flashes when he threw decisively and on time. Daniel Jones was a killer with hook flat concepts. He's incredibly decisive and efficient in his footwork and release when reading these flat defender keys. These plays put the defender covering the flat in conflict, and Daniel Jones reads off of their movement. If the defender covers the flat, he throws the hook, and when the defender stays with the hook, he throws the flat. It's a simple defender key and maximizes his ability to throw on rhythm. You can see how quickly the ball comes out with limited wasted movement and allows for an easy pickup of yards. He has to diagnose the coverage pre-snap, figure out who the flat defender is, and then key off of him to make the completion. This general concept came up again and again in the Giants' offense. If the flat defender hesitates or takes a step to the flat, Jones immediately hits the hook behind him for a completion. It's a super simple and effective read and gets the ball out of Jones' hands very quickly. Even when teams try to fool him a little bit and show late rotates or shifts, he's still able to find space and execute the concept. Here the Jets are showing cover 0 but rotate a safety late back to the deep middle. They're trying to bait Daniel Jones into taking a shot deep down the middle of the field because that's what you do on cover 0. Instead, he diagnoses this, stays calm in the pocket, and delivers a throw to the open slant. Whenever Jones can isolate one defender and read off of their decision, he's much more decisive and as a result, much more accurate. Here's an example of Jones reading all verticals and keying off of the outside linebacker. As soon as that linebacker drops off the seam to pass it off to the safety, Jones drives the ball into the open window. 4 verts versus a Tampa 2 defense is not a great call right here, but Jones is able to see the inside linebacker dropping deep with his back turned, and then is able to locate the outside linebacker who's passing the seam off to the safety. There's not a huge window to hit this, but Jones shows decisiveness and efficiency in going through his reads and processing what the defense is giving him. Here's another seam ball or a bang 8 post, which is really just a skinny post, and this time it's off a slightly different concept. As soon as the safety at the top of the screen goes with the deep dig from the number 3 receiver, which is the innermost guy, that opens up the window for the number 2 receiver on the bang 8, since nobody is now protecting the middle of the field. All Jones has to do is read the safety and then throw off of his movement. The receiver wins inside leverage and the other safety's too far away to make a play on the ball. Here Jones does a great job of diagnosing the blitz and throwing to the now vacated zone. With the corner blitz, the outside linebacker has to fly to the zone that the corner is leaving, which opens up yet another zone down the seam where that linebacker would have normally been. The Eagles here are actually trying to bait Jones into throwing an interception on those hook routes that he loves to throw by dropping both of their defensive tackles into that area. The Giants instead call up a play with all verticals, and Jones sees the zone blitz and hits the seam in rhythm for a big gain. Jones also excels while throwing on the move and outside the pocket, especially if he can key off of one defender like we just talked about. The Giants run a flood concept here with 3 routes at 3 different depths on the field. The Packers are playing man, so as soon as Jones comes out of his play action fake, he looks to locate the defender who would cause danger to throwing the over route from the right side of the field. When he sees nobody underneath it, he knows he can confidently throw it with the receiver having beat number 38 Tramon Williams across the field. Here he escapes from the pocket and throws an absolutely perfect ball against a defender whose back is turned to him. In this scenario, the defender is only covering the width of his shoulder pads, so Jones gives his receiver a great ball right over the head of the trailing defender. This kind of ball placement is elite, and Jones did it multiple times. He's really good at attacking trailing defenders and putting the ball in a place where his receivers have a chance to go get it. It takes quick diagnosis of the defense and shows touch and accuracy. And to be able to do this under pressure is even better. Here's another throw while moving in the pocket and under duress, where he throws a perfect ball to a tightly covered receiver. Despite Jones' ability to make all the throws when he's decisive and given simple reads, he also has a penchant for poor mechanics and holding onto the ball when he doesn't initially see something he expects or he has to go to his second read. He can tend to pat the ball and his mechanics get shaky. These mechanical issues especially show up on his deep balls. Despite being known for them in college, they're shockingly inconsistent at the NFL level. He routinely falls away from his throws, overstrides, and dips his shoulders. This causes a ton of vertical inaccuracy on his deep balls. You can see here how he's falling away from his throw. He's off balance and dips his shoulders at the end. This causes the ball to sail on him, reduces the amount of power and control he can generate, and causes the ball to go incomplete. There isn't pressure around him, he doesn't have to avoid a defender, he just misses the throw, and it's because of his mechanics. Here he is again leaning backwards when throwing deep and significantly underthrows a wide open receiver for a touchdown. If you watch this a couple times here, he also pats the ball before throwing. On his first pat, he sees that the receiver's open. The ball needs to be out of his hands right there. The longer he holds it, the more time the safety has to close, the greater opportunity for a sack, and the more difficult and further the throw becomes. Here's another bad underthrow where he doesn't get his hips all the way through and is off balance during his throw. These things pop up over and over again through the season. He's shown that he can make these throws, he's just inconsistent in doing them. The receiver hangs him out to dry a little bit on this one by shifting back inside after initially taking an outside track, but you can see that same issue where Daniel Jones is falling away from the throw and is off balance as he makes it. Just from a play-to-play basis, he's not going to be as consistent of a thrower as he can be if he doesn't fix these mechanical issues. As mentioned before, he also tends to pat the ball when receivers are clearly open. Instead of throwing on time and with anticipation, he double clutches, which reduces the speed at which he can release the ball and indicates indecisiveness on the read. Here you can see him clearly stare down the curl to the outside and pat the ball. That time allows for the window to close a little bit and forces him to check it down to the receiver in the flats for no gain. Even on completions, he has this issue of double clutching and patting the ball. It's not the end of the world, it just causes him to be late on throws and has gotten him into trouble a couple of times with interceptable balls because he's throwing late. While Daniel Jones has definitely shown signs of being a good quarterback, he definitely showed signs of being a rookie as well. His reads were simple, and when the first option wasn't there, he could often hold the ball too long, make bad decisions, or have shaky mechanics. However, on the flip side, when plays broke down and he had to move around in the pocket or escape, he seemed poised, at ease, and made some really impressive throws. He's got the tools to be good. He just needs to work on becoming more consistent with his deep ball mechanics from a play-to-play basis. As he becomes more comfortable with NFL systems and plays and starts to be more decisive with his reads, he should blossom into a very solid starting quarterback for the Giants. If Joe Judge can get him into a scheme that matches his skills of moving around, throwing on play action, and giving him clear reads, he can lead the Giants just like Eli did and take them deep into the playoffs. Hey guys, just wanted to say it has been awesome breaking down some film with you guys this offseason. I'm super excited about finally getting some new football back in our lives here, so make sure to stay tuned. The release schedule might be a little bit less consistent now because it takes me 30 or 40 hours to make one of these breakdowns, and I want to do things that are current and going on in the NFL right now. But make sure you keep checking in every week because I will get something out, and I'm also going to start trying to build more stuff to make available on Patreon, so make sure you go out and check out what we got going over there. But until next time, I'm Casey Sully, and I'll see you on the next film breakdown.